Eric here at the Sequatchie Valley Institute doing another plant a day in preparation for Food for Life. And today we have actually a couple wonderful plants to talk about, and I think we're going to end up doing multiple plant walks today. There's just so many wonderful beings here to share and feel appreciation and gratitude for. And the first one is a definite elder plant. This is This is a being that has been around these woods for a long time and is going through kind of a challenging phase in its experience of life on the planet right now. This is the eastern hemlock tree, Tsuga canadensis, and this is a very long-lived, old-growth, climax forest kind of tree. Can live to be over 800 years old. There's probably some that are over 1,000 in the world. And this tree in particular is being eaten by the woolly adelgid, which is, I believe, some kind of a moth from Asia. And it started to eat and defoliate the hemlock trees to a point where they can't live through it. And then they die off, and reishi mushrooms come in and start to turn the tree into soil. And it's a very powerful being. It's a member of the pine family. And this one here that we're actually looking at doesn't have any of the woolly adelgid on it. It hasn't quite made it into the Sequatchie Valley yet, which is a very hope-inspiring thing to be aware of. It hasn't made it into this valley yet, but it's in the next valley over, so hopefully it'll stay at bay. And this is a member of the pine family. The pine family, Pinaceae, anytime that you hear ACA on the end of a Latin word, um, when speaking in botanical terms, we're talking about a family. So this is the Pinaceae family, and this family is amazing. It's a very old family. It doesn't even have flowers, so it existed prior to flowering plants. I don't know the exact timeline of it, but you could do some research on it and see how ancient this whole family is, which tells me that human beings have probably had a very long relationship with it, especially because you can eat the seeds, you can eat the pollen, the needles are an excellent source of vitamin C. The whole family is safe to be taken in teas and to take the pollens in and to take the nuts in, and they all have kind of antimicrobial sap that's good for wounds. You know, the pine resins that come out, that exudate, can be applied to cuts and things like that, and it's a powerful antiseptic and astringent. Um, and the bark of this particular tree is also used for tanning leather, in bark tanned leather, because it's so high in tannins and astringency. It's capable of drawing together and tightening up the fibers of animal skin in such a way that it becomes waterproof and is preserved for a very long time. So this is a very special friend for us to connect with. And you know, I know a lot of people out there love the the little emergency packets, and you know, it's definitely wonderful to be tuning in to the vitamins and minerals that we're taking in, but I would say that it is far more beneficial for us to take in those vitamins and minerals in a natural form, in a plant-derived form, because our body recognizes that. This is a plant that we've evolved with for probably millions of years. I bet even pre-human peoples had a relationship with this plant where they ingested it in various ways. And so this is a way of bringing in vitamins and minerals and nutrients that our body really recognizes. The cells in our body recognize this form of vitamin C, whereas with laboratory synthesized stuff, the particle size tends to be a lot bigger because it's caused by a chemical, a laboratory chemical synthesized kind of experience rather than a natural biological phytochemical experience. And yeah, definitely a lot of gratitude for this being. And we actually have to do 2 plants today, or actually one of them's a fungus, because on another pine tree right across the way I found our wonderful friend Pleurotus. So this is some kind of an oyster mushroom. This might be a different species than Pleurotus ostreatus that I'm most familiar with. It's a little bit thinner and smaller, and it was growing on a pine tree. I usually see Pleurotus ostreatus growing on hardwoods or tulip poplars, especially in the east. And this is an amazing mushroom. I really love the mushrooms. This is one of the mushrooms that Paul Stamets says can save the world. The Pleurotus ostreatus is what he used to turn a pile of soil that was contaminated with hydrocarbons from an oil spill. This fungus turned that pile from being dead, dark, and stinky to being an oasis of life. And that's because it has this incredible ability to eat hydrocarbons and turn them into carbohydrates. So it takes toxic petroleum byproducts and converts them into edible fungal sugars that can then support more life in the ecosystem. So this is a great friend for us. It's one of the easiest ones to identify. It's white, soft flesh, and it's got gills on the underside, and you'll only ever find it growing on dead wood. It'll be coming out of the side of the wood like that, as if my finger is where it was attached to the tree. And this is a very tasty one, very easy to identify. We can also take the stem butts. If you look closely at the stem butts, you probably won't be able to see it on this camera, but you can even find this in the grocery store because it's such a delicious gourmet mushroom. It's cultivated, so oftentimes you can go to like a Whole Foods or a natural food store in your area. In Maryland we've got Mom's, and you can buy these mushrooms, and you'll see if you look closely at the stem that there's a fine fuzz on it, and that fuzz is the actual body of the mushroom. That's the mycelium, which is what the mushroom forms out of and what feeds the organism itself. It's the body of the organism. So we can take these stem butts and slice them up into small pieces and mix them into a container of coffee grounds, and they'll myceliate and we can propagate them. So it's one of the easiest ones to propagate, it's one of the most delicious ones, and it's one of the easiest ones to identify. It's one of the most nutritious mushrooms, and this has also been found to have a lot of anti-cancer properties to it. You can do more research on that as well, but there's a lot of research going on with some of these mushrooms as to how they're able to slow the growth of cancer in the body, or prevent it, or even reverse it once it's formed, and stimulate apoptosis, or programmed cell death of cells that have compromised genetic information from free radicals. So yeah, that's our plant walk for the day, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the Sequatchie Valley. Peace.